How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the 606. We're going back to back episodes for y'all because we've had a few things happen in the weeks that have come since the last episode, which was only a couple days ago. I'm your host, as always, SESvince. Welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm joined as always by my good friend Basharat. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man. I mean, we're only a couple days late on this, but ready to get into those reservation pre-orders that have opened up for the Slate Auto truck. We'll talk customization options, all the different configurations. It's really cool. Have a nice affordable EV starting at 25 grand, and we'll take a look at like all of the little options and bells and whistles and you can get. And is this a good pick for a new car for somebody in 2026?
Um, we're not here to talk about cars, dude.
Uh, we're doing NBA again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
yeah.
we did
I probably should have figured that one.
we're gonna talk about the draft.
We're a couple days late on that too, so let's get on it.
Yes, guys, we're here to kind of like give like our thoughts slash grades, or at least I am gonna talk about the NBA draft while Bosch guides us through the things that happen. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone, if you are new here, to go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. On all your audio podcast feeds. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, amongst many other. On YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, turn on the bell notification as well. Search us up at 606 Universe. Like, comment in the video down below, and let us know what you guys thought about what your team did during the NBA draft, or what your team didn't do, or or anywhere in between. What happened for your team in the NBA draft?
Or if you're
Also,
like the team we're a fan of, what your team both did and didn't do. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And if you did, if you weren't there, you could check out our live reactions for the draft. Bosch and I were there to just kind of like talk about the first round and just kind of give our raw reactions for that. So you can go ahead and check that out. It was
Big thanks
uploaded.
everybody hopped on that stream, especially Rylan for actually hopping on to give
Yeah,
Vince co-hosting company
yeah,
and later on when I was on as well with
yeah,
commentary and Bagley and everybody who hopped in the
yeah.
chat.
Shout out to the
Yes,
Justins.
the
Both of them
Justins.
showed up. Yeah, no, it was a
World
fun
Elite.
time. I
Yeah.
World Elite, yeah, everyone, thank you. And honestly, yeah, it was a really fun time. Speaking of Ryland, check out Wallet Media, which we are now a part of. We are associated with them, so check them out. They do great content. They have the World Cup coverage going on right now, so check that out if you're a football fan. Go ahead and check it out. But yeah, NBA draft, Bosh. We're gonna get started, and we're gonna get started with the very first pick of the draft. So lead us through this, and then I'll kind of give you
Yeah,
what I
let's
thought.
go. Let's go through it because right up at the top, that was a interesting pause there.
Sorry, not a pause. I clicked the wrong thing. Take it away. I'll edit this.
Okay. Right up at the top there, we knew the Wizards, of course, had the number one pick, and this was debated for quite a while of whether they would trade it to the Jazz, trade it to someone else like the Thunder, who came with some sort of Godfather offer,
Mm-hmm.
or whether some smoke screens of who they were going to pick, even though it was pretty clear all along. And in the end, they went chalk as we ourselves expected, and most analysts
Yeah.
had initially predicted before the smoke screens kind of threw everything out of whack in the last couple of weeks, and they went with AJ DeBonsa.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think?
I mean, it's a slam dunk. I think whoever they would have picked between them and Darren Peterson would have been good. Uh, I know that they acquired the 46th pick from Orlando. Felix a center from Tennessee, Felix Okpara, Okapara,
Right, they
Okpara.
got you know what they ended up with in the end is because there were some trades that went back and forth. I believe they ended up with Isaiah Nelson at 51 because there was like a pick that moved between Detroit, New York, Washington, Minnesota, and then that pick
Mhm.
60. I think that there was an interesting note on that second round of that every single second round pick had been moved other than one. I think
The
the
Toronto
Raptors,
Raptors
the
were the only.
Raptors pick. Yeah. Other than
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Raptors pick. So I think they ended up with the 51 and
Yeah. Okay.
the 60 Malik Lewis, I believe.
Yeah. So a forward
So
out
if
of
Spotrac is accurate here,
yeah
that's
yeah yeah out
where
of
those players
Australia,
ended
they
up.
got That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got Age of the Band, so they got their guy. That's going to be the face of their franchise. That's their number one guy. They haven't had someone even close to that since John Wall. And prior to that, like you can argue for Gilbert Arenas, but it was like really like a short spell there where it was positive, and then a short spell there where it was negative. So not everything was necessarily great. So I mean, I like it. I mean, by all accounts, it seemed like Age Debansa and his family representatives all wanted to be there. It's not the cleanest fits for the Washington Wizards, obviously, because
I think
if
it
you
might have been had they not just after that re-signed Trey Young to a monster 4 year, basically max like 50
yeah,
plus million
yeah. I
dollar a
mean,
year deal. But
they did
you
that.
know,
They
then they
have
still have
him.
AD and they still have so it's an interesting. You can't argue too much, I guess, with putting Debansa in a situation where
Mhm.
maybe they do have an outside shot of making the playoffs at the very least to play in if Young and AD are healthy, and then
I think
you
they're a
still got
playing
him and the
team for
young core.
sure.
Say that
Yeah,
again.
I think they're a playing team for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
barring injuries and stuff like that, I think they
I
very
mean that's
much
the
are.
question with AD in particular, but also to some extent with Trey Young lately.
Assuming they don't
So
move off of Anthony Davis as well. But regardless of what happens with the rest of the roster, I love AJ Devansa
yeah,
uh, for Washington. This is they're going to be their dude, their face of the franchise, the guy that leads them to the next era of Wizards basketball. Hopefully, he leads them to an era of Wizards basketball where they get a better fucking jersey, because I hate their jerseys because they're so plain and
yeah,
generic. They kind of feel like a G League team jersey. I like some of their alternate jerseys that they have where like it's mostly all like navy blue with like touches of red and white. Or
yeah.
like I think the cherry blossoms jerseys that they have,
Cherry
the pink
Blossoms
one.
jerseys are cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Stuff like that is fun, but if you're gonna have a really exciting player like an AJ Debance on your team, you got to give him a really cool jersey. Because like I saw the player introduction press conference for Washington, and I saw him lift up that jersey, and the first thing I thought was like, God, that's an ugly jersey. So
Well, he will have some more attractive young star teammates to pair up with
yeah,
as they attempt to turn this thing around. And Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George,
Justin
um,
Champagny is there.
just
Shout out,
The other Champagny is there.
Keyshawn
Um,
George is good. Yeah,
yep,
and I think
and
this is a
Bilal
good fit.
Coulibaly, so they've got some young prospects, and now they've got AJ Debonsa, and
Mhm.
it's whether they
It's
move
interesting.
off of AD and Trey Young right away or they wait a year or two. I think this is
I
a
think
bright
Trey
future.
Young's gonna be there. I think he's gonna be
Yeah.
their point guard to be their point guard. Like Anthony Davis may or may not be
I
traded.
mean, they may have gotten Trey Young on that deal to help fluff up AD's value because Trey Young is a phenomenal passer,
He
and
is. He
so
is.
maybe if AD can stay a little bit healthy and they've got a competent
Mhm.
passer, more than competent passer in Trey Young, getting him the ball, then maybe he'll become an attractive trade target for Washington to flip. Either way, Debonsa has some vets around him to start with. We'll see how the rest of it goes, but it's a bright future, I think, for
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think at the very least, you're not asking Agent Debansa to like save your franchise and do everything. You can
yeah,
kind of just like slow, as long as he gets his touches and the veterans don't like prevent his development.
monopolize the ball. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like stunt his development. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah,
yeah.
monopolize the ball is also very well illustrated. Yeah, Anthony Davis and Alex Zar are going to be great. Like like
Big
like
men around
defenders,
him. Yeah.
yeah, big men to like help him, like if he does get beat on defense, and then on the offensive end, you have Trey Young that can help facilitate him and get him easier shots. He's gonna get easier shots than most of the rookies that were selected in the top five, at least, because there's gonna be other options. Regardless of how we feel about Anthony Davis or Trey Young, when healthy on the court, you kind of have to keep a man on them and be mindful of them off on the defensive end. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna say I like this for Washington, but
Yeah.
that's an easy thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Easy one there. And we'll probably a few easy ones, especially at the top of
Yeah,
the.
let's
Considering
rapid
most of the
fire a
lottery
few.
went chalk, I think a lot of these might be a little bit easier
Hmm.
for us since we were already predicting it. But with the second pick in the draft were the Jazz. They didn't have another selection, but I think that with who they got at number two, they're
Yeah.
probably pretty happy overall, regardless of not getting anyone else, and that's Darren Peterson, of course.
Yeah, no, I like this one too, Bosch, just because I think he fits their roster almost perfectly. He just kind of slots into that two guard spot for them. And just
I mean,
like,
I think that's kind of why they were okay with taking kind of
yeah,
what's considered a risk at this point, is
I don't think
because
so.
the upside of the player is quite high, right? So
Hmm.
regardless of your concerns of whether or not his cramping issues and his competitiveness and all the background noise, he
Right.
if he works out, it's a great fit for your roster because you've got Keontae George, and then you've
Yeah.
got Laurie Markkinen and Jaron Jackson Jr., probably possibly Walker Kessler, right? So around him, like
They
if you can
still,
get this
and
a
not
two
to mention
guard,
Ace Bailey as well, who
yeah,
their
Ace
first round
Bailey's
pick from last
right.
year.
Yeah, so they've got every other position filled. If Peterson hits at shooting guard, they're quite set.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I'd be very interested in Keontae George and Darren Peterson backcourt. Again, there's some moving parts. Even if they don't bring back Walker Kessler, you still have to figure out what you're gonna do with Ace Bailey. Do you want him on there? Is he a future like front court piece for you? Do you maybe play some small ball five with Jaron Jackson Jr.? I think the only one that's a lock is Jackson Jr. And then you look at Larry Markin, and he could be a guy that gets shipped. Maybe a destination like the Detroit Pistons could be in play here. We don't really know. They're just gonna figure it out. Walker Kessler, they could bring him back, considering that a lot of his free agent destinations are drying up in the last couple of days, with teams bringing back their own free agents,
Yeah,
but
I
also
think
trading
the
for
the
other
contract he
centers.
was offered at 28 mil a year was pretty good. I think if he ends up taking that, I don't think he should be all that upset about it.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so too. And I kind of like Walker Kessler to be like that front court guy to man things down in the middle. So yeah, I like this for Utah. Honestly, like I'm glad too, because like there were rumors and conversations about Carlos Boozer maybe going. Not Carlos Boozer. Carlos Boozer's son, Cam Boozer,
Cam
going there
Boozer.
because of Carlos Boozer working in the front office for the Utah Jazz. Maybe they go there and try to avoid the Darren Peterson stuff because he didn't work out for anyone besides Washington.
Yeah.
But I always knew that Danny Ainge wasn't going to be deterred by
I
that
mean, they
because
didn't care. It's smart not
they
to
took
care. They
Ace
didn't care
Bailey
last.
last
Yeah,
year,
they didn't
you
care
know.
last year.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
they weren't going to care this year. I
yeah,
mean, he did meet, I think, with the Utah Jazz, I think virtually, like they talked or whatever, and then he
yeah.
seemed like happy in the destination. Like it's going to work out. And either he's going to wear his 22 number, he's going to wear number 8 in honor of Kobe. Regardless, I think that's going to be a clean jersey because they went back to like the Rocky Mountain logo with the purple. So I'm very much excited. So those are actually going to be really nice jerseys for Darren Peterson fans out there. So yeah, I like this for what Utah did.
Yeah, so moving on to the third pick, that was held by the Memphis Grizzlies, of course, and
Hmm.
they went again with chalk, picking Cameron Boozer. They had the pick in front of the Bulls here, and then they had the
Yes.
pick behind the Bulls later in the first round, where they picked up Bennett Sturts, but that wasn't actually them. That wound up being a trade over to
Hmm.
the Thunder, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and they did manage to then get Richie Saunders in the second round.
Yes.
So yeah, Memphis Grizzlies picked up somebody who had long been predicted to be the number one pick in the draft from years ago, and that's Cameron Boozer.
Yeah. No, I really like this too. I think this is a really good fit for Cam Boozer and the Memphis Grizzlies. I very much like it. It's their kind of player too. Like someone that's just like very solid that the analytics very much love, and he's gonna have an opportunity, assuming John Morant gets traded, or even if John Morant's still there. I think it will only help Cam Boozer. I don't think he's gonna like prevent him from develop or getting touches or whatever because they're gonna get touches in different ways. So he works out well. I really do like him in the front court with Zach Edey because
Zach,
that was
yeah,
one of his things was rim protection was one of the things that you needed to address with Cameron Boozer because they tried to play him at the center at times at Duke and that obviously didn't work out. I love Cameron Boozer. Me and you, I think we had him as our second best prospect behind AJ Devanza, actually.
yeah.
And On top of that, like you mentioned, they did a trade where they moved down from 16 and they ended up with 21, which was Kareem Lopez in the
Right.
trade.
They made
Which,
like two trades, right? So they traded
yeah,
Bennett Sturts to the Thunder. Then they picked or then that pick
they
went
traded they
became
traded
Ibuka Okori,
they traded
and
16 for 17, and they traded 17 for 21,
yeah.
acquiring
So they
other
went from
stuff.
Bennett Sturts to Ibuka Okori, but that turned out to actually be the Pistons pick, and then they wound up actually having Kareem Lopez.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
and like you mentioned, they also picked up fellow BYU mates of Age of Debanso, Richie Saunders, guard. Uh, Honestly, I didn't know how to feel about it. I was like, I kind of wanted Kareem Lopez to go somewhere else that I could like maybe see him. But in Memphis, if he's gonna, I don't know if he'll start, but probably come off the bench. He can play some 4 minutes. He can play at the three as well. But this is honestly a spot that he could actually be given time to develop, similar to like Nate Ament in Milwaukee, which we'll talk about. I kind of like it. He seemed to be very excited. I saw a lot of like the team rookie photos with Richie Saunders, Kareem Lopez, and Cameron Boozer. I was like,
that's pretty cool.
I sat there. Oh, they also, by the way, they also acquired Isaiah Stewart from the Pistons during the draft.
Right.
So they ended up with like four really good players. Honestly, like I said, I saw the pictures and I was like, I think I like this way more a couple days after removed from the draft than I did it initially, especially with them picking up Richie Saunders with the 32nd pick in the second round. I'm like, Richie Saunders addresses some of their shooting and guard depth that they kind of need. Kareem Lopez is one of those guys where they're taking a swing on the guy that's either going to be very solid or has like some potential there. And Cameron Boozer has star potential, but and has the highest floor of any player taken in the top four. So I love, like, forget I like what they did. I love what the Memphis Grizzlies did. Like,
Awesome.
granted, some could argue that at 21 you probably should have grabbed LeBaron Philon Jr. to replace John Morant,
By
but
some, you mean you, of course.
no, I'm saying a lot of people have mentioned they should have taken LeBaron
Just a shout
Philon.
out back to our live stream where you were flipping out about LeBaron Philon. I think deservedly so. The way
Yeah,
we were both also flipping out about other players falling
yeah,
around the board
yeah,
that we'll get to
yeah.
later.
Players were falling in the draft, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, they ended up with a guy that I thought they would have taken at 16 anyways, and they acquired some stuff as well in return. So yeah, I could have honestly seen the scenario where they picked up Kareem Lopez at 16 and they still got him at 21. So considering they got him at 21, I think is a really good selection for them. And I want nothing but the best for Kareem Lopez. So I love everything the Grizzlies did, man.
All right. Buena suerte, Kareem Lopez. All
See.
right. So we move on to the Chicago Bulls, who had the number 4 and number 15 pick. They did not trade out of the number 15 pick,
No,
thank God. And they also did not trade out of the number 4 pick, which would have been a disastrous start to the
no.
Bryson Graham regime. They
I
picked
don't I don't
Caleb
think
Wilson.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't think they were gonna seriously move out of four. I think that was just more like the media trying to like create content.
That's true, but this is also the Chicago Bulls. Nothing was out of the question. So they did pick up Caleb Wilson at pick number 4, and they made a little bit of a surprise pick to many people, but not me, of course, and picking up Dalen Swain
Hmm.
with pick number 15. They also had a couple of second round selections, and then because they are still the Chicago Bulls and wanted to make sure we didn't forget that, they basically dumped both of those selections for what is essentially cash considerations.
Yeah, we love
They
those
did
cat
pick up Cam
considerations.
Jones, which was the pick that Indy got last year, the Pacers, that is, they
Hmm.
got last year at number 38 or so, I think. So they got him in exchange for this year's number 38 pick, which the Pacers used on Braden Smith. There's apparently a future swap. I'm not quite clear on that. That's
Hmm.
also included in here. And then, but then, of course, the all important cash considerations um, did come in. And same thing that they got for the number 57 pick from the Lakers, they got cash considerations. So their draft, instead of having 4 picks, was down to 2. That is Caleb Wilson and Dalen Swain.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. At the time, I was very frustrated and upset with not only the fact yesterday I was very like no not yesterday Wednesday I was very upset and confused as to what the Chicago Bulls were fucking doing by getting rid of their like second round picks and then and especially because it started with them trading their 56 pick to the Lakers for cash considerations, which funny enough, it like I was questioning the Bulls, but the Lakers traded cash considerations for the 56 pick just to trade the 56 pick to get
Yeah.
cash considerations. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like that makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
But again, it started off bad that way. Then I'm looking forward to 38, and then they take like you mentioned, they go ahead and take Braden Smith, a guy who from Purdue who was like under 6 feet tall, and then that gets shipped over to Indiana for what you mentioned, like Cam Jones and a bunch of like future second swaps. But Cam Jones's contract is not fully guaranteed, so I think
He may
like
not make it out of training camp,
he
basically.
may not make it out of training. He might be on summer league, the summer
Yeah.
league, the championship Bulls summer league roster, because I think they were going to win the summer league championship with all the guys they have. Uh,
Hooray.
it's something, man. But listen, man, I like what the Bulls did. I like Daniel Swain. I've talked myself. I like Daniel Swain going into the draft. You talked me into it more when we did our mock draft, and then during the actual draft when the selection was made, you got me more invested into him. I am very upset, as not maybe not as much as you, that the Bulls did not try to trade 5 second-round picks, which is what the Knicks ended up getting at 24 to select Cameron Carr at 24 once he started falling past the Bulls'
Yeah,
initial
this was
15.
what I kept suggesting that they do. Once we were getting past the teens, and both Cameron Carr and LeBaron Philon were falling past that point. I think Philon still had like was projected sometimes in the early 20s, so it was like okay, but Cam Carr was pretty much off the board by pick 2021 in almost everyone's projection that I'd ever seen.
Yeah,
And
honestly.
the fact that he fell and that the Bulls were already highly considering him, I think I would grade their overall draft as a C plus, because they did nail their first round picks, which is the most important thing. In my opinion, number 15 they nailed also, but
Mhm.
remains to be seen. But I think they made the right move in picking Jalen Swain. Caleb Wilson, they didn't trade out, they picked him, but it was a no brainer. Caleb Wilson was the
Yeah,
only one left of the four guys that were consensus agreed upon to be the four best. There was literally nobody deviating from that I've read anywhere in NBA media
the
who
only
said
thing that would have deviated from that would have been who was making the selections in 1 through 4,
right.
but
No,
the
but
players
those
weren't going to
four
move.
were
Yeah,
the
the
were
players
the
weren't going
top
to
four
change. Yeah,
regardless.
yeah,
And
exactly.
that there was no deviation in that. And so great, you picked him. That's what we wanted. That's great. I think Jalen Swain is also a good pick. He fits Bryson Graham's slap, sort of speed, length,
Who
athleticism, physicality.
I've like fell in love with like after watching more film,
Yeah,
seeing more him on social media and the press conferences.
yeah.
So I've
I
liked them
really
even
like him.
more.
I mean, you watch him with the ball. He is not, in my opinion, a Dalen Terry. You can see that with him with
No,
the ball. He's not a Chandler Hutchison. He plays with more force
he
than
reminds
that.
me of Jaden McDaniels almost.
God, that would be so good. Yeah, I like him a lot. And again, I think that you take a shot here with your second first round pick
Mhm,
at having a little bit bigger size. Now, uh, the debate between Cam Carr and him was like, oh, Cam Carr is a better shooter. He also is good defensively. He's high block rates, all of that.
mhm.
Very athletic. Also, you see him dunking everywhere. ESPN played a ridiculous montage of Kobe Bryant dunking the ball when Cam was picked.
I didn't get that, but okay.
But overall, why did I still want Swain over him when Carr is also athletic and can actually shoot better and all of that?
Mhm.
Because Swain is bigger, and I'm sorry, that's just important.
Yeah,
You need big wings, all right, not just guys who can guard the
six
two
seven,
one and
six
two
eight.
guard, right? And because Cam Carr is decently sized for a shooting guard, but that's why I still liked Cam Carr, because outside without shoes he's like 6'4.5", so he's like 6'6" or so with shoes. That's a great shooting guard size. It's not quite that big wing size in the modern NBA, but and
Mhm.
Swain has that bulk and the height. So I
Yeah,
wanted Swain for that. But once Carr was falling, I thought you still had to get this guy. If you watch his tape, there's a reason he was mocked to the Bulls and that we all liked him initially when he was projected to be the Bulls pick, because he does. That's a guy who's at shooting guard, can shoot the ball and can maybe get blocks, maybe not as well as Dwayne Wade, but can get blocks at the shooting guard position, which is a really big boon to your defense. So I really liked Cam Carr, and once he was falling into the 20s, it was clearly obvious that the salary cap impacted teams, particularly like New York in particular, but even Minnesota and Denver did not want to use those
Hmm.
high salary first round guaranteed slots. They wanted to drop down to lower salary guarantees for second round picks or late first. And I
Right.
said, throw 5 first round picks at the Knicks. Sorry,
Second
five
round.
second round picks at the Knicks, including this year's and some in future years, and the Knicks, which the Knicks could then use as capital to make trades as they needed to, or to draft low salary players, to relieve them of that second apron burden. And the Bulls didn't do it. And what did the Knicks get in the end? They wound up basically moving down repeatedly, and their final haul was, lo and behold, 5 second round picks. So,
Yeah.
just very frustrating to me because I would have made that deal. And that's why, despite being extremely high on their most important selections, in Caleb Wilson and Dalen Swain, their first round, their number 4 and number 15 first round picks, I'm still overall a C plus because this was a draft with a lot of opportunity for some creative maneuvering by a front office that was looking for opportunities
Yeah.
to take advantage of teams that are in trouble.
Well,
And
I mean,
yeah,
Bryson Graham did give an explanation, and like as much as I disagree with his explanation, at least he gave us one and like kind of give us his thought process. I still do believe that it was mostly just Jerry Reinsdorf being Jerry Reinsdorf,
oh, totally.
and,
Go ahead.
and
Because I'm gonna have a rebuttal once, but go ahead
yeah, but that's honestly it. I'd want you to save your rebuttal for the Bulls
for the Bulls
centric
pod. Yeah,
centric
I think I
episode.
should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I like what the Bulls did. And then as the days went along, I love what they did in the first round. Uh, I won't
Yes.
grade what they didn't do because they didn't do it. So it is what it is. Uh, we'll
But
just
still,
move
they
on.
did also sell 2 second round picks that they could have used on two-way. Those two-way contracts. You get a decent second guy in for a two-way, or an
They
overseas
did
player who
get
you can
they
bring over
did
later.
get three guys. They get two guys on two ways, and they got one guy on a 10-day contract. Well, again, we'll
Yeah.
unpack those guys a little bit more, but they did get some shooting and some size with those two-way contracts. So we'll see what
Yes.
happens. And it's easier to like just get rid of those two ways and that 10-day versus a second round pick where you still have that on the books if you don't sign them. So again, I like what they did. We'll keep going forward. I like the two kids. I saw their pressers. I've seen their interviews, especially Caleb Wilson and Dalen Swain. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Anybody who thought Caleb Wilson wasn't, worthy of being in that same conversation with the top three.
it's crazy.
I think so far I'm very hopeful that you will be regretting that or at least come to acknowledge that you were wrong because I think Caleb Wilson very
Yeah.
much included was deserved to be included in the
Yeah,
top four.
well, we'll unpack more of the draft selections for the Bulls in our episode. Let's continue down the list because
Which
we're barely at
will
five,
keep
and we
us in
gotta.
Illinois
Yeah,
because Illinois point guard Keaton Wagler. Sorry, I keep doing that, despite
it's okay.
having heard his
It's okay.
name on the broadcast
Yeah.
repeatedly as Illinois made their push.
Mhm.
Keaton Wagler was picked by the LA Clippers in that very, very fortunate selection by them because they wound up getting the lottery gods in their favor in their
Mhm.
trade with the Indiana Pacers for. I'm sorry, the center whose name I'm forgetting now on the Pacers. Hopefully, his name won't be so
Uh,
forgettable when he plays, because that would be very disastrous for Indiana.
Zubac.
Thank you, Ivica Zubac. So in that trade, they had a 5 through 9 protected pick that would only come to them if it was 5 through 9. Lo and behold, they got the
Yeah.
highest possible pick they could in 5. Picked Illinois point guard Keaton Wagler. They also grabbed a couple of players in the second round.
Mhm.
Baba Miller. Is this where Henry Visar wound up? Let's see.
No.
No, he
He
wound up going to Atlanta. He
yeah,
was picked with the
he was
Clippers pick.
selected. He was selected by the Clippers, but ended up
Yeah,
traded to
and
Atlanta.
wound up going to Atlanta.
We'll talk
That's
about the Hawks in a couple picks. They're
yeah.
up there. But
So
the main thing here is Keenan Wagler. I like Keenan Wagler. He was selected number 5. He was my number 5th ranked prospect in this draft. I know a
yeah.
lot of people are very high on Darius Acuff
Also happy
Jr.
with the Illinois product. To go
Yeah.
at number 5.
He's going to be in the backcourt with Darius Garland, so we'll see how that goes. And they have to figure out what they're going to do with Kawhi Leonard. But I like Keaton Wagler. It's a nice situation for him. I like the selection for the LA Clippers. I don't think Darius Acuff would have made too much sense. And then even if you thought that it would make sense, like I don't think and then you trade Darius Garland. I don't think you should have done that. I liked it. If they weren't going to trade down or get something in return, I think that's the perfect thing to do. You got gifted the fifth overall pick a talent that you think is good for your roster, and then start building around them and whatever future you have, because they do have some guys like I mentioned, like they picked up Baba Miller in the second round with the 36th
Mhm.
pick, but you have guys like Benedict Mathurin on the team. You still got John Collins on there, apparently. uh, Ty Washington, uh, Ronnie Hood is on there. No, these are the cap hits. My fault.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Darius Garland, Bogdan Bogdanovic, who's probably going to get traded. Derek Jones Jr. is on the team. So Nicholas Batum, Chris
Bogdanovich
Dunn.
just yeah, they moved his guarantee date out so they can make a
Yeah,
decision on that later. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a couple stuff here. So
And I like, I mean, yeah, he can play on and off the ball with Garland, and he's a great pick and roll point guard, so
yeah.
that could be very useful. If they keep Kawhi, the great pick and roll point guard is useful. If they don't keep
Mhm.
Kawhi, it's great for development for whoever they get in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So I like what they did here. Overall I kind of liked it, and this is kind of like where I had a mocked anyways. It was either here or Brooklyn that was going to be selected.
We stay with point guards and go on to those same Brooklyn Nets at the next pick at pick number 6, because the Brooklyn Nets have not had a point guard in quite a long time. So they felt very compelled to take Mikel Brown Jr. at number 6. They also wound up, I believe, because these trades got pretty ridiculous at the end of the first round here. They had
Yeah,
gotten this in the Julius Randle trade, though, the pick number 28, as
yeah,
they gave up their 33 pick to go to Minnesota in exchange for, basically taking on Randall. They moved up 5 picks, picked Joshua Jefferson, and then they traded that 33rd pick, of course, was gone, but they picked Tyler Bilodeau at 43.
yeah. So I won't address Tyler Bilodeau as much because I don't know what he did in UCLA for them. I'm just gonna address Joshua Jefferson and Mikel Brown Jr. I'm gonna be like, it's okay. It's fine. I feel like if you're Brooklyn, I don't care if you got Igor Deming on your team. You draft the best player available, and I
Yeah.
think at that point it would have been Darius Acuff Jr.
Mhm.
I think regardless of how that fits next to Julius Randle and Michael Porter Jr., I think you still go ahead and take him, because
Yeah.
I think that's the star power you need that for you. Honestly, if you look at Igor Deming, I think he
In our
could.
mock, we had kind of decided that they would go with Acuff, right? Like, I think.
Yes, we did
Uh,
end up. We ended up
yeah.
selecting
Even though we
Acuff.
admitted that Mikael Brown would be a better fit around their like dearth of guards at the moment, but we thought Acuff was the higher play at that
Yeah,
time. So yeah,
yeah. I think they just needed to take a big swing, considering that none of their draft picks, with the exception of Igor Deming that I mentioned, like
yeah,
really looked like something. And Igor Deming can kind of play a little bit on the two, so that's why I was like he can play a little
yeah.
off.
He's
Also, he
bigger. He
could
can play,
kind of
yeah,
works.
several spots.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I kind of like what they did. Joshua Jefferson, I also liked in the draft from Iowa State, but at 28, I'm like maybe they were expecting someone else to fall there at 28 when they made the Randall trade, but I think he probably would have been available at 33 if he just stayed there.
Yeah.
If
What
I'm
do what
being
do you
honest
know
with you,
about him, about Joshua Jefferson as a player?
I know very little about Joshua Jefferson as a player. That's why I'm also just like
Yeah,
I can't really give him anything, but like it's okay. I'm
yeah,
just gonna say it's okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think the Brown pick is still a good pick. Like,
it's not horrible. I'm just not like
yeah.
behind them as much as other
Yeah, we
teams
feel
are.
like they maybe should have taken a shot at higher upside, but Mikael Brown is a pretty good pick also. So we were pretty high in him. We had him going, I think, very in the very next pick anyway,
Yeah, something like
in
that.
our
Yeah,
mock.
yeah.
So speaking of that very next pick, let me move on to the Sacramento Kings, who did pick the player we were thinking had a little bit higher upside in Darius Acuff Jr.
hmm
at number 7. And then they also grabbed Emmanuel Sharp in the second round. I believe their other second rounder was traded away to Cleveland.
Yeah, it was traded to Cleveland in return for the Cleveland Cavaliers 29th pick, and they ended up selecting Alex Caravan from UConn, who I liked and kind of was hoping would be the guy that was available for the Bulls at 38.
Yeah,
Because
you were saying that leading up in the whole time. Yeah, leading
yeah,
up to
it's
that.
like, yeah, like towards the tail end of the first round, I was like, I really hope they get Alex Caravan, and then it gets selected by the Cavaliers, which is actually going to the Sacramento Kings. I don't know how that fits with Sacramento because they're so young. It looks like they're going to tear things down. They're going to look to trade, if not waive, DeMar DeRozan. Then they're going to look to trade Zach LaVine at some point. I'm also assuming Domantas Sabonis is also on the move. The only person I probably would keep there is Keegan Murray
Yeah,
on the team. But they got their guy. That's who they were linked up to, liking the most in this draft was Darius Acuff Jr. and the guy that they were like rumored to be willing to trade up to 5 or 6 just to get the opportunity to like draft them and not miss out on Darius Acuff Jr. I also we had them on to get Kingston Flemings because at that point I kind
yeah.
of like Flemings better than Mikael Brown Jr. I had him falling to the Atlanta Hawks at 8 instead. But honestly, I like some of what they did. I don't like what the or don't understand the Alex Caravan selection at 29 when I think they could have gotten it at 34. It's what I don't I don't know why they went ahead and did that. But yeah, Darius Acuff, he by all accounts he wants to be there, so I like this for the Kings. Maybe they just wanted some stability with with a guy that has a winning pedigree in UConn, as a 2-time national champion. In
Talking about
Alex
Caravan,
Caravan,
yeah.
yeah, in Alex Caravan, he's not going to be able to give you anything defensively, but offensively, he's going to be something of a solid role player. And maybe they just wanted a stable presence in that locker room. Who knows? But yeah, I'm okay with what they did.
Fair enough. Moving on to the mentioned, just aforementioned Atlanta Hawks, as well as the aforementioned Kingston Flemings. That was their pick
Mhm.
over at number 8. I think pretty good, pretty high upside pick there. They
Yeah.
also got Zubi Ejiofor at pick 23.
Uh,
Did they trade that
so
one?
no,
No,
no, no.
no,
They
and they
kept
kept
the
them.
23. They
Oh,
traded.
and I'm forgetting a big one because they made that multi-team, the like trade or whatever, the multiple picks flying back and forth in the second round,
Hmm.
and a guy we kept wanting. In fact, we were shocked that the Bulls didn't pick him, and lo and behold, the Bulls then sold that pick
Hmm.
essentially. Henry Visar,
Yeah,
Caleb Wilson's teammate, that they could they
because
picked him up.
I thought it was a good idea to pick up his teammate in the front
Yeah,
court because
his teammate and a guy who could stretch the floor, and it
yeah,
really
because we
sound.
needed shooting.
Yeah, and he
What the,
fell once at pick 38. It seemed like a no-brainer, but apparently the Bulls didn't want to give out like a guaranteed second-round contract, which is the reason it seems like from reporting that Henri Visar kept falling down there, and basically teams often offer those two ways to second-round picks nowadays. But he was
yeah.
demanding a full second-round contract, and eventually the Hawks ponied up, got him in a trade, and picked him
Yeah,
up.
so maybe that's why he felt like he wanted the guaranteed money. If that's the case, I would have
The Bulls should
taken.
have given him that guaranteed money, but
Yeah.
I think several teams should have. But
Well, I mean, the Atlanta Hawks, I think they did a fantastic job. I love what they did. Because prior to the draft, they re-signed CJ McCollum to a 1-year, $20+ million contract, and then you pick up Kingston Flemings with the 8th pick. Obviously, a lot of teams had them selecting the Dave Mara at center here with their selection, but they went guard instead, and I think it's a really good selection because he can come off the bench and give you some defensive presence, and there's so much athletic wings, so many offense on Atlanta's roster that I think he'll be fine. It'd be like a slow, steady like rise. I can even see situations where you have McCullum and Flemings playing together alongside each other in the back court. So I love that. Zubi Ejiofor at 23. I scratched my head a little bit as to why they went that direction. I couldn't really figure that one out. But I mean, I don't hate it. I just like he's gonna bring you it's gonna bring you rebounding and stuff like that. But at his size at 6'8", he's still a smaller center. I figured they might address their center with a little bit more size. However,
and
they did.
Okongwu is already like not exactly a big center, so
No, no, I think
yeah,
he's like 6'8" himself as well.
yeah, he's like 6'9",
So
something like that. Yeah,
6'8", 6'9". But they did get some size in the second round with a good value at 52nd pick via a trade with the LA Clippers and selecting Henry Vassar. So, and then floor spacing as well. So they address some shooting there as well. So it gives them a different look. So if Zubi Ejiofor doesn't essentially work out for them or pan out, they at least had that fallback plan with
Yeah,
Henry Vassar. And depending on how you want to go, you could actually play some lineups off the bench with Zubi Ejiofor and Henry Vassar playing alongside each other, where like Vassar is the one stretching the floor and Ejiofor is the one crashing the board. So
yeah.
I love what the Atlanta Hawks did. I love them. Like aside from the Memphis Grizzlies, they're the one team in the draft that I loved everything they did.
I mean, yeah, they've got. I think bringing Flemings along for the future, alongside Nikhil and alongside Jalen Johnson. I mean, this is
Hmm.
a good bet. And then they picked up Visar and Ejiofor as like backups to Okongwu. So now,
Yeah,
they've got some good depth, and they've got the short term with CJ still there. So overall, pretty good moves by the Atlanta
yeah,
Hawks. I think I agree with
yeah.
you.
Yeah, let's move on, and we're gonna try to like speed run these a little
Yeah,
bit more because we're getting to the tail end of this episode, and we
yeah.
haven't talked about the rest of the draft. So yeah,
So
let's
Dallas is next up. They picked up Morez Johnson Jr. And then they also picked up Toby Lawal. And I believe did they pick up somebody in that Koa Pete trade? Let's see.
uh they might have I couldn't tell you. Let me see. Yeah, you can look that up. In the meantime, I'm going to talk
Yeah,
about their number 9 selection. I was this is where the draft was the first surprise for me because they actually honestly everything that Dallas did surprised me because they went with Morris Johnson Jr., the forward slash center from Michigan at number 9, where everybody was assuming that would be Braden Burris here at number 9 because he's been linked to the Mavericks. The Mavericks were linked to him. It seemed like by all accounts it was a mutual interest on both
yeah.
parts, and it seemed like one of the most like
And one of the pressing needs they have is a guard.
yeah,
And you think
exactly. And
maybe
he's
this portends that they intend to deal both of their remaining centers. Still Lively and Gafford. I don't know, but
I think
it is
Gafford
an
for
interesting pick.
sure. Derek Lively, I don't think is going to be on the move. I think Derek Lively stays for sure. But
And Morez for the future. But yeah.
I mean, they did end up hiring Michigan's head coach to be the new Dallas Mavericks head coach. So
That's
maybe
right.
it was like, oh,
They had plenty of intel on Morez, that's for sure, by
yeah,
hiring.
they
Yeah.
definitely do as well. So I once they made that move, I was like maybe they might take a Michigan guy here. But if you're looking at a Michigan guy and you're trying to shore up and trade one of those front court guys, I probably would have taken a Demara instead. But they get Morris Johnson Jr. He's going to be able to like slide in there in the front court with a Cooper Flag. I'm interested. I'm kind of curious to see how it goes because I really do like the Illinois native, and he was someone that I wouldn't have been mad if the Bulls selected at 15. So, but I think at number 9 is still a reach. And then with 25, they acquired it in the trade with the Lakers, and they traded up from 30 to get 25. But I thought it was kind of weird because then they went ahead and used it on the draft and stash guy and de la Sergio de la Reyes.
Delares, it looks like.
No, de la Reyes.
De La Rea, sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So a draft and stash guy from Spain, I guess. I'm like, I'm just very confused as to what the Mavericks did, honestly.
Yeah, a guy who was not mocked in the first round by anyone that I saw, I
No, he
think.
was more of an early second
So
round
he pretty
pick.
much, I think it was one of those, agree to stay overseas for a year type of deals, and
Hmm.
we'll pick you higher than you should go because we don't really want anyone else on the roster yet.
But if you're the Mavericks, you need more depth. You need more young talent to build around Cooper Flag. You would think they would use one of those picks to select, unless they just didn't like anybody in the
I think
first
I
round.
think that's it. I think they wanted one of the other guards who went earlier. Maybe they were hoping, Phylon kept falling or something, and something along that range. But yeah, they went with Sergio De La Rea, and
Maybe maybe they were thinking this is the Cam Carr
yeah,
spot, and
and
they
he
were one
went.
spot too late.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, let's just keep going. Yeah, I just don't know what they're doing. I'm curious. I'm happy for Morris Johnson.
yeah, and good for him. Good for reuniting with his head coach. Good luck to the future for that. Again, I think probably look out for a trade for Gafford for sure at some point.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, especially if you're looking, maybe like a team like Atlanta, maybe who knows. they may still need to address that center spot.
Moving on to another team that made big news, of course, in many aspects, the Milwaukee Bucks, who then wound up with two picks here. With their own number 10 pick, they picked Braden Burries, and then they picked the guy that we were thinking they would pick all along, except they were able to take him a little bit later with the Miami Heat pick in Nate Ament.
Yeah, so I kind of love, I really do love what the Milwaukee Bucks did here because with their own pick, they went ahead and got more of a sure thing. Like aside from Cam Boozer, I thought Braden Burris was probably the most sure thing in the draft in the lottery for sure. I love them as a combo guard from Arizona. I think he could do a little bit of everything. He reminds me of Derek White from Boston. So like that's my player comp for him. So I love that for them. And then they take the upside swing on the guy that everybody had them pencil in to take at number 10, including us in Nate Ament. Once they made the Giannis trade, I was like, oh, they're definitely going to take Nate Ament.
Yeah.
But again, maybe they just didn't expect Braden Burries to be there at 10. And if you're them, I'm like, just take the pick.
Yeah, and I think it was a fair bet for them, seeing who else was on the board after them, after number 10, that Nate Ament wouldn't be taken by 13. So, and whereas Burries might have
Yeah,
been.
yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
that's honestly what I was saying. Because like with if they had gotten the Miami Heat pick, I was like, oh, that's perfect. Take Native Men at 13 and take whoever falls to you at number 10. Whether I thought it might have been Kingston Flemings, or maybe even it could have been even a Mikael Brown Jr. If Mikael Brown Jr. was there at 10 and you're the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm like, you take that and you run, you know.
yeah.
So I love what what the Bucks did here. I thought they got two young guys that are going to definitely help their team, and two things that you can look forward to, Bucks fans. So I like that.
Absolutely. With that next pick, of course, the reason that we didn't think Nate Ament, who seems to be much more of a long-term project, maybe one of those sort of, long-term development Giannis type, projects that they're hoping will work out that way. But the Warriors weren't about to do that, and with their 11 pick, they want to maximize what's left here of Steph's prime, and they picked a very NBA ready, roster ready player in Yaxel Lendeborg.
Yeah, with the Golden State Warriors, I thought that the most likely selection for them was going to be like Yaxel Lendeberg, the forward out of Michigan, because he can spread the floor, he can play a little bit of defense. He, especially with Jimmy Butler, going to be out with that ACL injury. You know he's going to be there at least for the start of the season. I thought he can
Yeah.
come in there and not necessarily fill that Jimmy Butler role, but like take some of those minutes and then fill those minutes up. I mean, he's making
I
some
mean, he
questionable.
talked about being a ready complementary player all along. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
so yeah.
I mean, he didn't really do himself any favors by saying he didn't really like Steph Curry growing up, and then he was actually rooting against him against the GO in the 2016 finals. So so that doesn't really help his case, unfortunately. But especially with a locker when he go into a locker room that includes Draymond Green, so we'll see how that goes. But jokes aside, I kind of like the fit. I like this.
Yeah, it doesn't lessen his fit on the roster, that's for
No,
sure.
it definitely doesn't. If Braden Burris had fallen to them at number 11, I thought that would have been the better selection because he's the younger player and he's also someone that is ready to contribute day one. If not someone like a Day Morrow, if you felt like Kristaps Porzingis wasn't going to be a solution and for you at center. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
Yaxel fits.
But they did re-sign Horford to a 2-year deal
Yeah, they
after
did.
he
They
declined
did
his
do
player
that.
option.
So,
So.
so yeah, good selection. I like what they did here.
And
Speaking of
then
Morrow,
another
though.
team looking for a ready-made help based on their current contender status. I mean, they honestly could have gone many routes since they could definitely take long-term projects. They don't need anybody to contribute right away, but based
Mhm.
on their playoff series and their likely playoff opponent for the foreseeable future in the San Antonio Spurs, the Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder, went ahead and picked the rising Ademara in order to bolster that front court for the
Yeah,
future.
yeah. So I was going into the draft. I think we both talked about how like they could package number 12 and number 17 to move up to like a number 9, an 8, or a 10, and get that Damara because that's kind of like the guy that kind of like fit the needs, especially when you saw that Chet Holmgren struggled to guard Victor Wembanyama in the playoffs. And that he's probably better suited to be more of a help defender, a guy that kind of roams and like blocks shots, and not necessarily is the primary guy you put on Wemby. And Demara, like 7'3" without shoes on,
Yep.
fantastic size, nine
Type of
foot.
size that you want to hope that will develop into somebody you can really use against
And
Wembenyama.
honestly, he kind of gives them assurance if Isaiah Hardenstein doesn't come back. He wants a bigger contract that the Thunder can afford. So now you kind of have like not necessarily his replacement, but you have insurance for that as well.
Yeah, and you've
Uh,
got a long-term project that you can hope will grow into that role as well
yeah,
to battle, the big center revolution that is currently underway. They also added Bennett Sturts. They traded out of
yes,
that pick
yes,
and they added Bennett Sturts.
they traded their 17th pick for the 16th pick that was Memphis's originally.
Yeah, threw them a
And
couple
I
second
didn't,
rounders for the
yeah, I
trouble, and
didn't
yeah,
necessarily like this for them. Because as much as I like Bennett Sturts, he's probably the best, if not the second best shooter in this draft. But he's a really good ball handler, playmaker as well. So I thought that would have been great for Memphis, especially if they were going to move off from John Morant. So I was like, okay, maybe that's a really good pickup for them, or maybe I thought he was a good spot for like a Detroit Pistons or Toronto Raptors. In OKC, it's more of a question fit for me. Like I'm
I
not
mean they
saying
need shooting, and
they
despite the
need
fact
shooting,
they
but I
did
don't
pick up,
think I don't think this is probably the best player the best selection you could have made at 16.
yeah.
And
I mean,
it
their thinking probably is that they can surround. They have the defense to sort of, absorb a sort of smaller shooter like that. I mean, they do have another one in Jared McCain, so it is a little duplicative. But I guess they just want to have more of assurance that they can put more shooting on the floor because
yeah,
that did come back to hurt them a little bit in the
I mean, if
playoffs.
you want shooting, I don't think you sacrifice size. I think you go Cameron Carr at 16, considering the Bulls didn't take him, even though he was mocked to go to them at
Yeah,
15.
kind of surprising that Carr fell past all these teams at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah. So that's another reason, because I know we were like a little harsh on the Bulls not trading up to trading back into the first round to maybe to select a Cameron Carr, but they completely did not take Cameron Carr. And from the rumors that I saw, who knows if this is true? This is just hearsay, but it's just rumors. They moved up to 16 because they thought the Bulls were going to take Cameron Carr, and the guy that Sam Presti really wanted was Dalen Swain at 16, and they thought he might be gone to
That's
Memphis.
interesting. Huh.
So that's what I heard. That supposedly they were worried that Memphis was going to select Dalen Swain at 16, and thought that the Bulls were going to go Cameron Carr. So they traded up one spot to get Dalen Swain, and then the Bulls take Dalen Swain at 15. Now they left scrambling at who
Yeah,
they take. That supposedly Ben Sturts was not the selection they traded up to get, and that they
that would make more sense. Yeah.
yeah. So had they went Dalen Swain and a Demara, I thought it would have been like an 8++ draft for them. They go Ben Sturts. I question that just a little bit more of a fit on the team. I don't question Sam Presti as to like making that work. But again, I mean, he could play. Ja can like not Ja. SGA can play two guard because he's big enough. So maybe he's someone that can help John Morant. I mean, why do I keep saying John Morant? SGA, Shea Gilgeous Alexander. Um, yeah, I don't know because I keep seeing Memphis right here, and I keep thinking
Yeah.
John Morant. But yeah, I'm gonna say I like some. I don't like some. I
Yeah.
question some. Yeah. Let,
Yeah.
let's let's move on. Let's
Yeah,
because we're getting there.
moving on to the Charlotte Hornets here because let's see here. We covered the Bucks already, so we're going to skip that. We talked about Nate Ament, who went 13th. So the 14th pick, the Hornets, another team we thought. So between these teams, the Hornets, the Bulls, the Thunder, we definitely thought between those three teams, Cameron Carr would be gone amongst one of them. But
Yeah.
the Hornets went with Hans Steinbach, to power forward, and then they also picked up Christian Anderson. At the
Yeah.
time, we thought, why would you want another point guard here? But now that kind of makes more sense now that they've dealt LaMelo
Yeah,
Ball.
yeah, they probably already had like a framework or like some pieces in place into as to what a Lamelo Ball trade would look like. So they knew they kind of like needed some guard depth. So now the Christian Anderson selection makes more sense.
Yeah.
Prior to this, Ben Sturts and Christian Anderson were the two guys that were like projected to be like 1A, 1B in terms of best shooter. And you do need shooting if you're Charlotte. They went ahead and re-signed Kobe White to kind of like be that stopgap for them at the guard position. You still got guys on the Con Canepo on the team as well. I'm very much surprised about the trade. I do like the Hans Steinbach selection for them because he's the guy that can play four, can play five.
Mm.
He's been touted to have like Alfred Şengün like skills to his game, so we'll see how he's not really like a rim protector, but that's okay because they also picked up front court with Nas Reed as well. So maybe you're looking at a front court of Hans Steinbeck with Nas Reed, and you just kind of go from there. Christian Anderson. Now I kind of like a little bit more than I did on draft day, especially with Kobe White starting. He doesn't have to worry about being the number one point guard and try to figure that out. He can come in slowly, a la Kobe White when he was drafted to the Chicago Bulls. So
So yeah,
honestly,
maybe they really think highly of Christian Anderson's like future
yeah,
development potential, and they think they can have a more well-rounded roster this way.
yeah, because again, you look at Kobe White, Nas Reed, they're coming into the team. You now have Christian Anderson, Hans Steinbeck. I think you trade Miles Bridges and get something else. You have Brandon Miller. Now this looks like Brandon Miller's team now. Concanepo, like you said, is there. Grant Williams is there as well. Maybe you make other movements. We'll see what happens. But I kind of like what the Hornets did. Like I don't know if I like the trade and the return they received for LaMelo Ball, but in terms of draft, which is what we're here to talk about, I like what they did.
Yeah. And going on from there, of course, we did already talk about the Bulls and the Thunder. Bulls with Dalen Swain at the next pick. Thunder, of course, then grabbing Bennett Sturts. Moving on to who we thought Detroit was going to be picking later on. We thought they'd be getting Kareem Lopez, but in fact, they got Memphis's pick here in Ibuka Okori.
Yeah, no, I kind of like Ibuka Okori. He's going to be a dude that's going to be able to like come in and create offensively. He's a great on-ball creator, one-on-one guy. He can get to the basket very well. He doesn't have much size to him, but given that Cade Cunningham is a very tall, lengthy guard and good defensively as well, I think he's going to be able to like play well with him and help Cade Cunningham to like not necessarily have to like run the offense correctly like the entire time. So I liken it to like when Jose Alvarado was able to spell a Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. I see something similar to that. A guy that can come off the bench and give you a little spark plug. I kind of like it. And I like it even more considering that they traded 2 second-round picks to also get Isaiah Joe from the Oklahoma City Thunder. So
Yep.
overall, I thought the
Bolstering their
Pistons.
ball handling and their shooting then
Yeah,
with both
yeah.
of those.
I thought the Pistons did very well. I like what they. I like what the Pistons did.
Okay, moving on from the Pistons, of course. Now again, we're here in the repeat where the Hornets had several picks. So we already talked about next pick, Christian Anderson. We'll move on to our friends north of the border, eh? And they picked up Alan Graves at number 19, Mr. Graves.
Yeah, I think they also got Jaden
Jaden
Brady.
Bradley,
Bradley,
yeah,
sorry, Jaden
yeah,
Bradley. Sorry, I read that incorrectly. From Arizona, pick number 50. The only team to not trade the second round pick.
that's right.
Uh, I am a little confused, but not confused as to why they went with Alan Graves because it's a very Toronto Raptors pick. It seems like the kind of guy that they would do, someone that can be a solid role player, that can help and contribute to a team. But if you look at Toronto, I thought their biggest needs were at center and at the guard position. Considering I think there's questions
Speaking
about
of center, they did pick up Trace Jackson Davis by trading their second round pick, right? So is he still on the
yes,
books going forward? I think he
yes,
is.
yes, they did do that. They did do that. But again, it just because you look at the
Yeah,
team.
it's not a great like
It
yeah
feels like
end
there's
of
a
the
lot of
roster.
redundancy on this team because you have Scotty Barnes, you have Brandon Ingram, you have RJ Barrett, then you
Yeah,
have Grady Dick, you
and
have
now you
Colin
yeah
Murray Boyles, then you add an Allen Graves. Like,
yep.
unless you're moving off of both Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett, like, what are you really doing here? Like, because because you're at this point, you're at 19. At this point, you take a Cameron Carr, and then also too, LeBaron Philon was there, and I don't think Emmanuel Quickly is the long term answer for you at point guard. So why not get
But even if
LeBaron
he
Philon?
was, I mean, when you take a guy who wasn't even able to play in the playoffs this year, like
Yeah,
having
exactly.
having another a backup like to him would be a pretty good bolster. That
Yeah,
means,
I like I don't hate what the Raptors did because I like Allen Graves, but I think he made more sense for a team like San Antonio at number 20 or a team like Detroit at 17. Uh
yeah.
or like yeah, I don't or like I'm gonna be like I don't like what they did. I might learn to eat. I might end up eating my words, but I think they should have gone LeBaron Phylan or Cameron Carr.
Fair enough. Speaking of the San Antonio Spurs, they picked up a player who had had a lot of injury concerns, hadn't had much time on the court, but it was previously mocked to be like a top 10 pick prior to the year.
Yeah.
That's Jaden Quintons at number 20.
Yeah, and on top of that, they were also able to get Therese Reed with a 26 pick, which they acquired from Denver. So they got
Yes.
two late first round picks, and they drafted two big men with it. Jaden Quinnis might be a guy that may or may not play this season, but it's a guy that they can bring out along slowly. Therese Reed from UConn, who I really really like, and actually would have been a nice little piece for the Denver Nuggets to select, but I think that was mostly a cost cutting move for the Denver Nuggets so they can try to like keep Peyton Watson on the books as well. So I'm gonna say I really do love what the Spurs did here, because one of the things that we saw them have an issue was uh wing depth and front court behind Wemby, like the
Yeah, I mean
non-Wemby
Cornette was
mid-mins.
good all year. He was very good, but man, he
But
was getting
but in
cooked by
some
Cat.
matches, yeah, but in
Yeah.
the matches specifically against the New York Knicks, that was he was played off the yeah, he was just
He
played
was
off the
yeah, he could not play when Cat was on the floor. That was a
yeah.
disaster for San
Yeah,
Antonio.
yeah. So they maybe addressed that situation with a guy with high upside in Jaden Quaidens, who you said had top 10 potential prior to the injury, and then the guy that's more so solid in Therese Reed, they can probably play right away. So I like it. This is a really good draft for the Spurs.
Agreed. Okay. Number 21 pick we have talked about. That is Kareem Lopez, of course. So, bienvenido, Kareem Lopez. And moving on to the 22nd pick, the 76ers, who we have not discussed yet, managed to
No.
get another faller. One
Yeah.
of the guys that was high on your board that you were really into, and watching film of him, I got quite a bit into him too because he reminds me a lot of another Sixers pick in Jared McCain, and just the way he was moving and the way he was getting his shots
Yeah.
off. He just reminded me of Jared
Yeah.
McCain.
Yeah, for
LeBaron
sure.
Philon, of course, is
Yeah,
what we're talking
that
about.
was their only selection. LeBaron Philon Jr. fell to them at 22nd. I think that's a great value pick. I think that's a fantastic value at 22 at 22 for them. And that was a guy that I had in lottery potential. Like, had the Miami Heat stayed at 13, that's who I would have wanted them to select, was LeBaron Philon Jr. If the Milwaukee
I mean, again,
Bucks,
prior to the year, I think I heard him talked about as like, oh, is he moving in as a possible top 10 type of lottery type of
yeah,
pick?
yeah, yeah,
And yeah,
him alongside the next selection at 23 at 24, not 23. We'll talk about him, but yeah, I like what they have here. They have VJ Edgecombe, who can slide over to the three. You have Tyrese Maxey, who can slide over to the two, and then you can play him alongside LeBaron Philon Jr. And then if I honestly, if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I dump Paul George and I see what I can get for Joel Embiid, and you start building around this young, exciting core of Edgecombe, Maxi, and Phylon. I love this. I love this for the 76ers. Initially, I was just like, oh, I don't know how the fit is. But the more I think about it, the more you guys talk about how like this is very similar to what they've had in the past. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with. That's a really good thing. I love what the Sixers did. This is steal for them. Shout out to Bakley. His Sixers did good.
yeah. Here's hoping LeBaron Philon can, achieve at least the sort of positivity and the sort of promise and potential that Jared McCain showed. And Sixers fans will certainly hope that he can achieve the sort of postseason impact right away that Jared McCain achieved.
That's true. That's true. We already talked about 23, so let's go to 24.
Yeah, so what happened in 24, interestingly enough, is this was the Knicks pick that was then that I was stressing that the Chicago Bulls should offer 5 second rounders for. It was traded to the LA Lakers, who then picked the player I wanted the Bulls to trade into that pick for, that being Cameron Carr.
This gets an A plus 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 for the Lakers.
Perfect fit. next to
perfect
Luca.
fit next to Luca. Even if you bring back LeBron
Yep.
on the smart, it's again also
I
fits with
mean, their
LeBron.
needs they needed you need shooting around Luca, and their need was defense, and
Yeah,
this answers both of those questions.
yeah, honestly, and I love that, and it's an exciting prospect, and then also too kind of gives you like a little bit of a safety net in case you do want to go ahead and flip an Austin Reeves who you just re-signed to a contract. Maybe a team really wants to like add that to their team, or maybe they feel like they desperate need a center option, and they use Reeves as like trade fodder for a center, and you can slide in a camera car. I think this is perfect. I love
Yeah,
this.
and
We
like a long-term piece around Luca potentially that could be
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
really
No, no,
helpful.
it's fantastic.
A shooting
It's
guard
definitely
with size who has good defensive chops, who can
mhm.
shoot the ball. Yeah, that's very great.
No, it's definitely better than anything they've done the last couple of drafts that they've selected out with their own picks. Yeah, no, I love this for the Lakers. I like this for Cameron Carr because he's going to be in the big market, and LA, New York, they're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm very jealous of the Lakers
Yeah,
grabbing
very
Cameron
jealous
Carr
of the
here.
Lakers. So
Yeah.
shout out to Jalen, shout out to TC. You guys are gonna get a stud right here. You guys got a steal at 24.
Yeah,
Um,
great
25
pick.
we already talked
25,
about.
of course, that was a pick that then the Knicks got from the Lakers for giving up
Hmm.
24 along with a couple seconds. And then they then traded that again to get more seconds out of it.
Yes,
And eventually this pick wound up with Dallas. We talked about it. Draft and stash with another kind of curious selection here. Why even trade into this pick for a draft and stash? But
right.
okay. Sergio De La Rea. And then we go to the 26th pick. Of course, we spoke about earlier
Yeah, that
as the
one's
San
San
Antonio
Antonio.
Spurs picked Terrace Reed. We moving to a team we have not yet spoken about at 27,
Hmm.
the Boston Celtics grabbing Chris Sinak Jr., another bit of a faller, not too far, but a
Hmm.
little bit of a faller, I would say.
Honestly, man, like, man, fuck Boston, man. Like, how do you guys
I
end
mean, it's
up?
always fuck Boston,
It's always
regardless. But
fuck
yeah,
Boston, but like they end up with Kristen Nat Jr. at 27. I think that's a fantastic get for them because I originally wasn't sure if he would be there for them at 27 because I thought he'd be selected by the Spurs at 20, maybe, and then
yeah, I really thought that they would pick him to kind of
and
fill
then at
that power forward
26,
void.
when they had that 26 pick, when they picked that up, instead of using that on Terrence Reed, I thought they might have used that on Kristen Nat Jr. I think I called it on the stream. It was like, oh, Kristen Nat Jr. right here. And it didn't go
Yeah,
that way. So
yeah,
they also picked up Dylan Mitchell with the 40th pick.
yes.
So I like what they did. Granted,
I
they didn't
mean,
have to do much. It just
yeah,
kind of fell to them. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, good at the end of the first round. This is worth it. I mean, there were questions about Sinak's productivity and actual, getting to the rim and whatnot instead of, pulling up for little paint jumpers or whatnot. But this is perfectly, a good pick. Somebody who was falling, somebody who did have a lot of talent,
Hmm.
and at the end of the first round, that's a type of shot you can afford to take. Of
Yeah.
course, we did talk about the 28th pick, Joshua Jefferson.
But
For
but
Yes,
that was originally Minnesota's.
that's right.
and and
Minnesota,
they
yeah,
used
trading
the
out.
and they used the third pick to select Duke's Isaiah Evans, who is another guy
Another
that
player, yeah, another player,
yeah.
not just you, but someone that I've heard a lot of people were high on that. They were kind of hoping that maybe would fall either to the Bulls. There were Bulls broadcasters or
Mhm.
media people, I should say, down at 38. But yeah, Isaiah Evans, talk about him.
I like that. I think he's a really good offensive piece for them at the guard spot in general. Like someone that can come off the bench and really like kind of like fill in a lot of those Dante DiVincenzo minutes that are going to be sorely missed in this upcoming season. Now
Yeah,
you look at their like perimeter rotation, you have now LaMelo Ball with Ayo Dosunmu. I'm assuming Dosunmu is going to be the sixth man coming off the bench. I don't think you start that lineup. I think you close games with it. So you start LaMelo with Anthony Edwards, and then you have someone that can spell either of those guys. He's going to be able to play with Ayo Dosunmu. That's going to be able to mask some of his deficiencies, and he's going to be slowly be able to like come in and help the team. I know I'm very high on guards that Minnesota usually takes. I'm looking at you, Rob Dillingham, who's currently on the Bulls, who I've now soured on. But I really do like Isaiah Evans. I was kind of hoping that if the Mavericks selected him with their selection, just so he would go to Dallas and reunite with Cooper Flag just for the vibes. But I like the vibes just enough in Minnesota. I like this for Isaiah Evans. I like this for the Timberwolves considering that he's a guy that I would have liked for them to select at 28 and they got him at 33. I think this is a steal for
Yeah,
them.
and considering the fact that they kind of struck out with Dillingham and that they really need that sort of point guard help
Yeah.
for the future, even after getting LaMelo Ball, they need somebody else, to back them up. So yeah, no,
No,
good
yeah.
good job.
Isaiah Evans is a great like two guard option for them off the bench. I like this. Last team I think we're gonna talk about
Well, we
here.
talked about the Kings already with
Yes,
Caravan, so
yes, we
so
did.
we move on to Phoenix making that the final selection of the first round. After was that I think that was traded around. I can't
Yeah, that
remember.
was originally Dallas's pick that
Right.
was traded to uh to the Phoenix Suns, and
Yep.
this is where Cole Pete went.
Yeah.
And
Koa Pete.
honestly, if I was Brooklyn and I had kept that 28th pick, I liked Brooklyn as a good landing spot for Koa Pete because he didn't have to worry about starting right away. He can take his time developing, similar to like a native Ment. He would have been able to like kind of like grow as a player, make mistakes with Brooklyn. But I think he can kind of like do the similar thing here for Phoenix. Who knows? Phoenix might have gotten themselves a diamond in the rough, especially as the last pick in the first round, considering they weren't even in the first round. So they got a guy that I think is probably better than anyone in the second round that was selected. So Kopi at 30, I think is a very good value for Phoenix.
Yeah.
And
Nice
it's
long shot selection. Yeah.
yeah, and it's something that I wish the Bulls had done, taking the flyer on a guy that you think is might be good in the first round and package some second round capital to receive a first round pick. But at least someone did that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
alas. So
yeah,
that wraps up. We talked about all 30 first round picks and a good percentage of the second round
yeah.
picks as well, because a lot of
At
these
least the
teams
ones that
had
mattered.
several. Yeah, a lot of these teams had several of those second rounders, especially the ones we were most concerned with being Isaiah Evans and
Henry
uh,
Vassar.
right, Henry Vassar. So yeah, any other thoughts, concluding thoughts there, Vince,
No,
on the
no.
draft?
I have more stuff to talk about with the Bulls because obviously we're Bulls fans, but we'll
Of
save that
course
for
we do.
the
Yeah,
next episode.
yeah,
But yeah, let's sign things off because we've been here for a minute.
yeah.
let's close this one out, Bosh. Where can people find you? Where can people talk hoops with you, man?
Always on Blue Sky. Systemlords.bsky.social is where you will find me.
Yeah, all right, all right. You can follow me at SESvince on all social medias. We can talk wrestling, we can talk basketball, we can talk comics, anime, whatever you want to talk about. I'm into Yu-Gi-Oh again, so we can talk Yu-Gi-Oh. We can talk about our decks. Uh, yeah, follow the show at 606 Universe at social medias, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky. We still need to make a Blue Sky for the podcast.
I got to get on that at some point.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Follow the podcast wherever audio podcasts can be found. Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, we're available there amongst many other sites. Check us out on YouTube at 606 Universe. Subscribe, bell notifications, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out Wallet Media again. We love the collaboration that we've been doing. We love being like a part of the Wallet family. I like having dual citizenship, man. It's a great time.
It's
Yeah,
always good to have those guys on too. So yeah,
yeah, always great. So with that being said, for SES Vince and Basharat, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Later, y'all.
peace.